Hello there, everyone, and welcome to GamePoints episode 349. Your weekly get together, we talk about recent gaming news. As always, your host, Stephen Brown, and tonight, well, it's going to sound a lot like a lot of the previous weeks because we have yet more layoffs happening across the industry. City Skylines 2 was announced, and there seems to be some shakeups going on at Square Enix. But first, I want everyone here to know this is an audience interactive podcast, so if you're watching us live here at Twitch TV/GamePoints, or later over at any myriad of video hosting platforms, be they Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, etc., feel free to join the conversation with any questions, comments, concerns you might have. Just try to keep them germane to the topics on hand. And of course, if you like what you see here, you know what streamers want. Likes, bits, follow, shares, all that good stuff. All right. First story I want to get into tonight. This is starting to become a very reoccurring theme on this show, unfortunately, but yet we have even more layoffs. This here from GameIndustry.biz. The link to this story, as well as all the ones that I use today, will be provided down below, be it your descriptor or the Discord server, depending on where you're watching this at. Headline: Take-Two cuts jobs at private division. Publisher says impact on U.S. dev teams is minimal and has started legal processes outside of the U.S. that could result in further layoffs. I know I sound like a broken record at this point because I don't think I've done a show in almost 2 months where I haven't talked about layoffs yet, but understand that not only are they still going to be coming, but they are going to be coming for a long time. Once again, please, if you are in any kind of tech industry in general, not even just video games, get your resumes in order. The axe is going around. Please, I beg you, it is better to be prepared for something like this and having it not happen than to be caught unawares. So maybe just save a little bit more extra money during these rough financial times. Anyways, to the article itself. Take-Two is laying off some employees at its private division label across other divisions of the company, Bloomberg's Jason Schreier reported today. Normally, I would go use the primary source for stories like this, but since Jason Schreier has blocked half the internet, I figure I will do him the courtesy in kind and just, well, ignore him. I will mention he originated the story, but use another source because that is clearly what he wants. He wants no interaction from the internet. So be it. A company spokesperson confirmed the news for GameIndustry.biz, saying the following. We can confirm that there have been targeted reductions in our U.S. teams. I hate this corpo speak, by the way. They always try to minimize what's happening. Don't do that. Just be honest. Moving on. Primarily in corporate operations and label publishing, which will better align our organization with our long-term priorities. We continue to make strategic investments in our talent and technology to deliver our long-term pipeline, and the impact of these changes on our U.S. development teams has been minimal. Outside the U.S., we have begun procedures in compliance with local law that we anticipate may result in similar reductions. Take-Two has experienced exponential growth in recent years, and we are taking necessary steps to position the company for another extended period of success. This is essentially putting the European teams on notice. They have to have a few more jumps to go through before they can start laying people off there, but they coming. For those of you who don't know, by the way, Private Division, the label that had the layoffs happening, this is Take-Two's kind of like their indie label, their equivalent to Bloomhouse or A24 or Annapurna if you want to stick to video games. This is where they publish smaller, not necessarily AAA fare, but quality stuff. I think The Outer Worlds, for example, was published through Private Division, as was Hades, I believe. Don't have those answers off the top of my head, but I think they were. So this is their mid to indie range gaming part. So not Rockstar or anything else that might be going on there. Though I wouldn't be surprised if you also had some layoffs happen at those companies as well once the inevitable GTA 6 is announced and released. Sorry. Started choking up there. Couldn't tell you why. Moving on to the rest of the article here. Take-Two signaled the possibility of layoffs last month when it missed its third quarter revenue and bookings forecast and announced a cost reduction program aiming to eliminate more than $50 million of annual spending focused on personal process infrastructure and other areas, particularly in our publishing and corporate functions. That's why I keep saying more are coming. Because they missed their third quarter, sure. I promise you they're going to miss their fourth. And I promise you they're going to miss their first of the next year as well. Every company is going to. And if layoffs are the result of one of those things, they're going to be the result of the other two as well. It's coming. Be ready, save some money, get ready to lose your job at a moment's notice. I hate being the bearer of bad news, but that is the state of not just the gaming industry right now, but of the world at the moment. So please, please be prepared. Let's move on to something more jovial, more fun, something that put a smile on my face. Paradox recently had their version of a Nintendo Direct. I'll just call it that right now, the Paradox Direct, and they announced a whole bunch of stuff. But two things in particular I want to mention right now. First up, as you can see, City Skylines 2 officially announced. We kind of knew this was coming. Well, it's official now. Coming sometime in 2023. Really looking forward to this. City Skylines has picked up the ball that EA dropped when they released SimCity back 10 years ago. And I've done nothing with that franchise since then. City Skylines, on the other hand, is a flawed but worthy successor to the name. And I'll be very curious to see what the second one can bring. Of course, I do have reservations because, well, whenever a game like Cities or Civilization or The Sims, whenever something that's been around for a while and has a lot of expansion packs, a lot of content, tends to get a sequel, those games tend to come out missing features that were already there. So I do fully expect the same thing to happen here with Cities 2. That said, I'm willing to sacrifice a few features if it means significantly tightening up the other ones that are out there. Cities 2, if Cities Skylines, if you get any big enough city, everyone who plays knows the frame rate starts to go at a crawl. Traffic becomes unwieldy. I'm hoping the sequel will have some things in there to address those problems, and I'm willing to give up a few things that might have come in later expansions for a fresh coat of paint and a more stable engine able to handle a larger volume of buildings and cars and people. Hopefully. We'll see. That's not the only thing that Paradox, however, announced. They announced a whole bunch of expansions to Crusader Kings, Stellaris, Victoria, but one thing that really caught my eye was this right here. The Lamplighters League. This is Harebrained Scheme's new game that they're working on. It is new IP, so unfortunately it's not Shadowrun or Battletech. I was really hoping it was going to be one of those. But this does look cool. It is a tactics game set in a 1930s alternate history with strong pulp vibes. So think Indiana Jones meets XCOM, and you'll probably get a good idea of what's going on here. A little bit humorous, kind of lighthearted, and I'm totally fine with that. I love the pulp look to this. I love strategy games. So far, everything that I've seen on Lamplighters League, I am 100% in on, and I'm hoping it turns out to be pretty good. It does say it's coming out later this year. Whether or not it actually meets that date, I don't know, but I do know that Harebrained Schemes has been dormant for a while, so I wouldn't be surprised if it actually does come out this year. Of note, one thing that was not mentioned at all during this is anything about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Paradox is publishing it. It has had a massively troubled development history, and the only thing that we got on there was a little reply on Twitter that said that they will be announcing news on it, but at a later date. Bloodlines is not part of this show. Nope, they don't even tell you like soon. You have to listen to what PR doesn't say as much as what they say. If they were going to be giving us information on Bloodlines 2, say at E3 around that time frame during Summer Game Fest, they would have said, keep an eye out, we'll have more information on it soon. Because they want to start building the hype. They didn't say that. They just said at a later date. That means this game is minimum 2026, in my opinion. I'd be willing to bet that in the past few years since we saw it, after the multiple dev teams that got replaced on it as writers and project leads were swapped out, this has probably undergone a complete and total rebuild from the ground up. I would not be surprised if they only recently started entering production on Vampire Bloodlines 2. assuming they're even doing anything with it at the moment. They could be on infinite hiatus and they just don't want to tell anyone about it yet. But if they were anywhere near release, or if they were even anywhere near having a playable build to show off, they would have said more information coming soon. They didn't. So I fully expect this to be a long time before we see anything about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. That said, Lamplighters League looks awesome. City Skylines looks great. We got more Stellaris, Crusader Kings. If you're a Paradox fan, plenty of things to look forward to. Before I move on, I'm going to talk about this right here. This life simulator thing, this from Paradox Tectonic. I think it's called Life as You or something like that. I don't remember its name. Forgive me. I should have looked it up. But much like how City Skylines took the SimCity title away from EA, and I don't mean by the game. I mean like they became the top dog in city building management. This seems to be them taking a shot at The Sims. So keep an eye on this if you like The Sims. There could be something here. Moving on, we're going to go to Video Game Chronicle now right here. Square Enix is replacing President Yosuke Matsuda pending approval. This is a big shakeup at Square Enix, and I am worried for the future. And I'll explain why as we go on. In a notice sent to shareholders published today, Square Enix Holdings said intended to replace Matsuda with relative Square Enix newcomer Takashi Kiru. Forgive me for mispronouncing that, pending shareholder approval. According to the notice, the approval will be sought after the annual shareholder meeting scheduled for June 2023. Should the move be approved, a meeting of board of directors will finalize the details. Matsuda took over from previous Square Enix president Yoichi Wada in 2013, and in recent years has spoken about the company's need to focus on blockchain games. Based on Square Enix's statement, it doesn't appear that these plans are going to be changing following Matsuda's planned departure. In fact, they said the following. Under the rapid change of business environment surrounding the entertainment industry, with a proposed change of intending to reshape the management team with the goal of adopting ever-evolving technological innovations and maximizing the creativity of the company's group in order to deter even greater entertainment from customers in the world. That is a bunch of techno bullshit that says nothing. Nothing. Okay, what's that? What's that mean? Doesn't mean a goddamn thing. It just means that they're going to be chasing new technology, which means blockchain, which means NFTs, which means all that shit that you all seem to hate right now so much. They're just refusing to use the term NFT. But expect that to be here soon. This is a stick out of my head, by the way. The proposed incoming president, 47-year-old, very young by the way, 47-year-old Takashi Kiru joined Square Enix in June 2020 as general manager of its corporate planning division. Before that, he was general manager of Dentsu Innovation Initiative, an R&D organization that focused on, quote, scouting of new and disruptive technologies, including blockchain and Web 3.0. I get the feeling that Matsuda was not moving fast enough for the board of directors on blockchain tech, on implementing this stuff into video games. So they're bringing in someone who is younger and a little bit more experienced in what's going on to guide Square Enix into that perceived future they want, where it's buying and selling your own digital goods on their stores, or they're NFTs. Let's just call it what it is. I have long said that NFTs are not going away in video games. They will just be repackaged under a different name. Here it is. And they haven't quite figured out the exact name for it yet, which is why they took an entire paragraph of technobabble to say nothing at all. That is where we're at. Square Enix is fully embracing that train, and they are not going away anytime soon. And more companies, I think, will also be doing this, although Square seems to be aggressively hitting it. And to me, it reeks a little bit of desperation. But what company isn't desperate right now, given the economics of the world? Moving back onto the article. Square Enix is one of the first major publishers to declare support for blockchain entertainment, which uses a form of digital ledger to effectively allow users to own, buy, and sell digital items. I will add, all for a small cut, I would imagine. They're not just going to let you do this out of the goodness of their own heart. The company has multiple blockchain games based on original IPs in development, some of which are already announced and others planning to be shown this year. I am telling you, they are getting rid of this man to replace him with someone who's going to be even more aggressive on that front. That is why this is happening. For good or bad. Let me know what you think down below, by the way. I'm very curious to see if I'm out on a branch here thinking that or not. Moving on to a game that I have still yet to play, but will sometime in the future. And once again, from GameIndustry.biz, Hogwarts Legacy is Europe's fastest selling game, that isn't FIFA, for a generation, according to the European monthly chart. Once again, showing that the boycott really did not do work at all. 1 second, please. Just making sure things are nice and solid. There we go. To the article itself. I had a little bit of a distraction on my end. I apologize. Hogwarts Legacy had the 6th biggest launch for a video game since the European chart started 6 years ago. The only games ahead of it are FIFA titles. That means Hogwarts Legacy had a bigger launch than every Call of Duty game released since 2017, plus other breakout hits such as Red Dead Redemption 2 and Elden Ring. This data from GSD includes physical game sales across most major European markets, by the way. That does include the UK, France, Germany, Spain, Italy, and more. It also includes digital game sales from most major publishers across all European markets. Not only did the boycott not work, if anything, it provided a lot of advertising for Hogwarts Legacy because everyone started talking about it, showing people a game that they might have been interested in, and I think contributing to the sales. Something similar happened with Bayonetta 3 when it dropped a few months back. The voice actress for Bayonetta, the original voice actress of Bayonetta, came out, said that there were some disputes between her pay and what she was wanting, and that's why they replaced her at the last minute with Jennifer Hale. And Bayonetta 3 ended up selling pretty well because of all the negative conversations surrounding it. Now, that tended to go back and forth a little bit, where people were accusing the original voice actress of some what's the word I'm looking for here? I can't pronounce it, so I'm not going to say it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Some heinous shit. And it caused a bunch of articles to be written about it, which got more eyeballs on the game. Boycotts in general don't work because all you do is free advertising. Furthermore, you're starting to see people get a little wise to it. There is a fake boycott of Returnal on the PC going on right now, started by fans of Returnal who want to bump sales on the PC. And it seems to be working, at least to some degree. Sales for Returnal have popped up a little bit over the past few days because of this boycott, in my opinion. Hard to actually speculate what might be causing those sales, but I think that might have something to do with it. The best thing you can do about something that you hate and want change isn't to be an ass and try to ruin it for people, isn't to scream and shout about how evil it is. It isn't even going out to try to change people's mind and tell them they're a naughty person by playing something. The best thing you can do if you want to destroy something, if you want something to fail, is to be apathetic to it. Don't care about it. Live your life and let it stand on its own merits. Because the more you push back on something, the more conditioned society is, or people are in general, to go, no, you don't get to tell me what to do. So please, for the love of God, if you are fighting for anything, do not become something that people hate more. Because they will play it, they will take the opposite position just to spite you. Your biggest enemy in your fight is, as always, yourself. But yes, Harry Potter seemingly to do very well. I would expect that there would be another Hogwarts Legacy, and I think even more people will probably play that one because you're going to have that fear of missing out kicking in over a game that sold 12 million copies already in like, what, a month or so? Big seller. Moving on as we go through this bit of news here. This here is from Engadget, an update to a story I've been mentioning off and on for a while. Sonic the Hedgehog co-creator Yuji Naka pleads guilty to insider trading. Oh, Yuji, what an ignoble end to a long career. Yuji Naka has pleaded guilty to insider trading charges filed last fall. The Sonic the Hedgehog co-creator is admitted to violating Japanese financial law by buying shares in a game studio aiming before teaming up with Square Enix on Dragon Quest Tact became public. Naka admitted to making a profit of over 20 million yen, about $150,000, after selling his investment. He hasn't yet received a penalty for his illegal trade. What a thing to go down for, by the way. Not just insider trading, but insider trading on a seemingly minuscule scale. Now, don't get me wrong. $150,000 ain't nothing to sneeze at. I would love to have $150,000 just drop into my lap. But there are people doing insider trading for millions and millions of dollars every day. And you get caught on this. There's an old adage. The law is like a spider's web. It'll catch the small flies, but the massive hornets go right through it. Yuji Naka's a fly. Your heads of your corporations, they're your hornets. They shoot right through. Or politicians or whatever. Man, just what a way to kill your career. Moving on. The veteran developer signed on Square Enix in 2018, but abruptly left soon after his one project at the company, the mobile platformer Balan Wonderland. Isn't it Balan Wonder World? And it's not a mobile platform. Hold on, come on, Engadget. Don't make me do this. Do I have to look this up? It is Balan Wonder World, by the way, so they're wrong on that, and it's not a game for mobile platformers. I haven't played it. I just needed to make sure that I wasn't going nuts and had an aneurysm and slipped into the Berenstain Bears universe. It is Balan Wonder World. They just did layoffs happen everywhere, including copy editors, it seems. Anyways, moving on. After his one project, the company shipped to customers. He sued the company for removing him as director of Balan 6 months before launch. He is still with Square Enix when he heard of the Dragon Quest Tact work, or he was still with Square Enix when he heard of the Dragon Quest work. Two other former employees, Tatsuke Sasakai and Fumaki Suzuki, were also arrested for buying aiming shares using insider knowledge. Square Enix says it's cooperating with investigators and established a system that prevents insider trading. Whatever that system might be, who knows? We'll see. I've got two more stories for you before I wrap things up here. This next one up from Variety. Dead by Daylight movie coming from Jason Blum. Of Blumhouse. You know Blumhouse. Dead by Daylight is coming to Hollywood. Atomic Monster and Blumhouse are teaming up with Behavior Interactive, the largest Canadian gaming studio, to develop a feature film adaptation of the hit horror game Dead by Daylight. Didn't know they were the biggest Canadian gaming studio out there, by the way. I'd be very curious to double check those numbers. Because you have Ubisoft branches in Canada. You have BioWare in Canada. I'd be very curious to know if that's actually true or not. I wonder if they count every Ubisoft studio as a different studio. So let's say you have like 4 Canadian Ubisoft teams of only 500 people each. Now that's 2,000 total. But if Behavior Interactive has like, say, 800 people, they might be counting that way. Anyways, kind of neither here nor there. Going on with the article. Since its launch of 2016, Dead by Daylight has reached over 50 million players worldwide, with 2 million stepping into the fog, the terrifying mist that players must make their way through in order to survive every day. Juan, who's the director of The Conjuring and Insidious, and Blum, the producer of Get Out and The Purge, are natural fits for Dead by Daylight, the article says. Juan, Blum, and there we go, Stephen Mulrooney are producers on the film. Behavior Interactive's Remy Ratchine and Atomic Monster's Michael Clear and Judson Scott, Blumhouse's Ryan Trek, and Striker Entertainment's Rustin Binder are executive producers. Last month, Blumhouse announced the launch of Blumhouse Games, a new subsidiary that will produce and publish indie budget video games for below 10 million. Blumhouse Games, I don't know what they're going to be doing, but that sounds like a company that might be interested in picking up like some of the Dread Collection stuff. Small, tiny little horror games, small little psychological thrillers that you see on Steam popping every now and then. They probably will be producing those if I had to venture a guess. Video games are becoming TV shows and movies at an accelerated rate. You're going to, with how well The Last of Us is doing on HBO right now, with how well I expect the Mario movie to do, the Illumination Studios one, you're going to see every single IP get gobbled up in a fire sale. You will see God of War already has something coming. Twisted Metal already has something coming. They tried with Halo, that flopped. And that does set things back. But you are going to see buku bucks invested in making video game stories into TV shows and movies. The floodgates haven't even burst open on it yet. Uncharted was just the start. It is going to be coming at an accelerated pace, and it is going to become the next superhero movie, where it is just oversaturated and we all burn out on it before it's over, and we can't stand the sight of it in about 5 years, and then the next thing comes along that everyone chases then. Because God forbid anyone actually have any originality anymore. You always have to be chasing and copying and reiterating what exists. That said, yeah, I'd watch a Dead by Daylight movie. I wouldn't pay to go see it in the movie theaters, but I'd watch it on Netflix or something. It seems ripe to be a slasher movie. I don't know how you would really go about capturing the spirit of the game, where it's just these people constantly tortured over and over and over again. They get out and they get like a day off and they get wind up back there again. What it's probably going to be is just a generic slasher film where you have a monster or maybe a few monsters inspired by the non-licensed critters from Dead by Daylight. So don't expect to see Pinhead or Jason or Freddy Krueger or the xenomorph alien running around on the map. It's going to be their stock villains. It's going to be who was in seasons, like the first few seasons of the game before they started getting big enough to acquire some name properties. I have to wonder, is Leprechaun in Dead by Daylight? He should be. I feel like he should be. But yes, this is just going to be the first of many new movie announcements. For example, we had Detective Pikachu 2 more or less confirmed that that's coming today. And a lot of it is due to the success of Uncharted as a movie and of The Last of Us as a movie, or as a series. So expect many, many more. I leave you all today with this final bit of upcoming event news. This is going to be happening later this week. The Capcom Spotlight, aka Capcom Direct. Let's just all get on board with that branding, guys. I don't need spotlights, showcases, forwards, whatever they may be. Just call them Direct, because all of us are calling it Direct. You need to call it Direct too. It's okay, Nintendo beat you to the punch. Accept it. Call it what it is. Stop trying to think of different names. The Capcom Direct is coming later this week. It is going to be on March 9th, which I believe is a Thursday at 2:30 Pacific Standard Time. A time that means I will be streaming it live, by the way, because it'll already be during one of my normal streaming times. Tune in for more information about 2023 lineup, including Resident Evil 4, Batman, Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, as well as information about Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, Ghost Trick, and Exo Primal. The show is only going to last 26 minutes, so I expect absolutely no surprises here from it. You would figure that Resident Evil 4 would get between 5 and 10 minutes of alone, which leaves 15 minutes to split between the other three games at roughly, 3 or 4 minutes a pop. That sounds about right. So do not get your hopes up if you're looking for Dino Crisis reboot or any new Street Fighter content. Well, maybe a new character announcement on Street Fighter, but if they do slip anything in, they'll be tall, minor things. 26 minutes, 5 games. That seems reasonable. And when you're a few months away from what is considered the silly season, the big E3 without an E3 time, even though E3 is happening this year, just no one cares, I wouldn't expect any major announcements on the Capcom end, at least until then. So this is probably all going to be expanding on things we already knew. And I do expect the bulk of the show to be devoted to Resident Evil because Resident Evil 4 is soon. It's coming. It'll be here very quickly. That said, I will likely be streaming it this Thursday, as I said. So come on by around 2:30 Pacific Standard Time right here at Twitch TV/GamePoints to check that out. And with that last bit of news, that does it for the show as well. Thank you all for showing up. And this has been GamePoints, episode 349. We do stream this show live every Tuesday at Twitch TV/GamePoints. You can come on by and join the conversation with any questions, comments, concerns you might have. I want to know what you all think. If you can't watch us live, however, you can watch us at any myriad of video hosting platforms, be it Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, etc. You can join our Discord, link provided down there somewhere, where I will be posting all the links to the stories we talked about today so you can go and read them yourselves. I recommend you do so. I do get things wrong, and I have my own opinions and biases too. Always try to think for yourself. If you liked what you saw here and you want to support the stream, you know what to do. Like, spits, follow, shares. You can follow myself, Stephen Brown, at CapitalistPig21. I do stream here throughout the week as well. You can come on by, say hey. I mentioned a Discord server and all that good stuff. And that kind of does things. Thank you all for showing up, and until next week, I'm out of here.